everybody, and welcome to another movie episode of Games My Mom Found. I am Mike Albertin, and who are the Double Dragon with me tonight?
Player one, Stefan JD.
The Shadow Master, Red Fox.
yeah, to think there for a second, huh?
Yeah.
Well, there's first I'll introduce what we're talking about, or actually I'll have a Red Fox. You want to introduce, because this was kind of actually your pick 4 months ago when we decided we were going to do this 4 months ago, and then just hadn't because of scheduling conflicts.
Well, tonight we'll be talking about the Double Dragon movie.
Yeah, from 1994. Because it was, I want to say it was right after we recorded Parasite Eve back in like episode 21, 22. We had talked about doing this. We're like, okay, we're going to do it next after we do Silent Hill, and then we did Street Fighter, and then we did Halo, then we did Resident Evil, and then finally found a way to get this on the board because we just kept missing it.
Sure.
And for those listening, as you can see through your audio device and your MP3 player, as you can hear, Stuart Man was not able to make it with us tonight due to scheduling conflicts for the four. I want to say it's been 4 or 5 times we try to do this stupid movie.
Mm-hmm.
I've watched it about 3 times in the last month. That is too many times to watch this movie in a lifetime, I think.
Wow.
But, hey,
I'd say in a lifetime. You ever hear about like taking notes or anything? Or
that's too easy.
3 times, really?
Well, I actually would watch it while I was editing podcasts these last 2 weeks. It works. It's a great background. I don't have to pay attention to what's going on. I'm just trying to get a refresher. So, the movie's better that way. But, first couple things I do want to say before we really dive into this film is, one, I just realized by looking at the Wikipedia, the budget of this movie was $7.8 million, and the box office was $2.3 million. So,
oops.
Yeah. Oh, wow. That didn't go so well for them.
Not at all.
At least I do got to say, this movie is, at least unlike Street Fighter, this movie feels like a comedy, is a comedy, comes off as a comedy. Unlike Street Fighter, it felt like we're gonna make an action movie and then just a stupid comedy instead. But that's another episode.
Yeah. Well, I read that they tried to take a more lighthearted take on the movie, more so than like the games.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Yeah.
Am I coming through okay?
Sound a bit lower.
Okay, 'cause I just realized my microphone was not plugged in again.
Oh my God, Mike.
I think I learned my lesson after.
Been doing this for how long now?
I'm sitting there talking to the microphone. I look down, I'm like, that's weird. There's no USB. I'm like, fucking shit. So,
Mike just plugged his brain in. Everyone.
Good job, buddy.
It should be okay. Worst come to worst, yeah, we should be fine. So, if I sounded okay on your end, then I should be okay in the recording. We did this before.
You sounded fine to me until you actually brought it up, and I was like, yeah, you do sound a little bit low.
Yeah. Hey, better than our first episode. All right. So this movie is based on the Double Dragon game, sorta, somehow, maybe.
Other than the outfits and some of the names and the walking tumor, a Bobo, I don't know. That's really about it.
I mean, the outfit, they don't get to the last 20 minutes of the movie.
No, not even 20. It's like the last maybe 10 minutes. Yeah.
I mean, so one thing, this movie starts off where it looks like you're watching a Chinese kung fu flick from the 70s, and you have Asian guys in ninja gear fighting monks, and you have a white woman wearing ninja gear fighting monks too that you don't know is a white woman. Which does fit with the story,
they don't even specify where in China it's at. They just say somewhere in China. They didn't even bother to find a location.
They couldn't find a map at the moment, so let's put somewhere in China. It doesn't matter.
We already spent too much money. We don't got time for that.
We don't have enough, but in the budget for letters to spell out where in China.
Do you think almost 30 years later somebody's going to nitpick about this? I don't think so.
Yeah, guess what? I feel like not a lot of people talk about this movie, though. A lot of people try to forget it exists.
I would say it's also due to the fact that Double Dragon maybe isn't as popular as Mortal Kombat or Resident Evil.
Well, it definitely isn't. But I mean, yeah.
So this Yeah, I mean, you haven't at this time. You had the Double Dragons for the NES that came out, which is what, 3 of them, I want to say.
Mm-hmm.
For the NES, yeah, there was 3.
And then you had Super Double Dragon for Super Nintendo that should have been out by this time. And I want to say you had Double Dragon 5 that came out this time too, which is based on that terrible cartoon.
Right, and the cartoon actually came out about a year before the movie did.
Okay, which is, I mean, was the Shadow character ever in the original games?
No, not that I recall at all.
It's in the stupid cartoon though. I remember that.
Right, and then obviously, like you said, number 5 was based off the cartoon, and that's when he showed up, I think, for the first time.
Okay. Because in the original game, isn't the plot just some punks come up, punch Maria in the stomach, take her, and now the Double Dragons have to go get her back?
That basically is what it is, and then they fight to the death for her at the end.
Okay.
Which is stupid as hell. I don't understand that.
Mr. Steal Your Girl.
Yeah, really. I mean, I think the cartoon even had a better premise than the actual games did. I mean, the games were very basic. It wasn't about the story anyway, but the cartoon had Jimmy was part of the Shadow Clan, and Billy found him, and they finally teamed up and tried to take down the Shadow Master.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's kind of, as a kid, what I expected this movie to be like, at least similar to it. Like, I expected green swords and matching green, like, double dragon tattoos on their chest.
Yeah, you didn't get that.
Oh, not even close. Or just something more similar to the game. You know, I was let down in both ends as a kid. I was so excited because I got it in VHS. I think my mom bought it on VHS. And I was so excited. I was like, holy shit, I didn't know there was a Double Dragon movie. So I watched it, and I was like, what the hell was that?
I remember. I feel like I vaguely remember watching this at your house many years ago, back when we first met in the 90s.
I think
we met in 90s. We met 2000.
Well, we met in the late 90s. I think it was 99 we met. Yeah.
I can't remember. All I got to remember, PS2 came out at one point, so that should be my reference. How do you remember what year it was? Well, what year did that game come out? That's how I know. Onimusha came out that year, and Conker's Bad Fur Day.
Oh yeah. Good times.
All right. Well, after you get through the stupid part that has nothing to do with the rest, doesn't fit the rest of this movie, where when they're in that Chinatown in China somewhere, there is a funny scene where they're like, they can't tell us where it is. They cut out their tongues, and I'm like, I noticed it my third time watching this movie. I'm like, is that necessary to even have that stupid line saying this movie's not that serious? Like, they cut out their tongues. Like,
what's even worse about that whole thing is that it didn't take them very long to still find it anyway. They just followed this older guy over to the cave where it just happened to be. Like, even if they didn't follow the guy, they could have spent maybe like 30 minutes searching the area, and they would have found that cave.
Yeah, that was I think that guy's name was Chen, and he just had very bad diarrhea, so he'd go to the temple just to let loose.
Is it just hanging on a wall or something stupid too?
It's on a shrine, I think.
Such a dumbass.
Yeah, whatever. But it wasn't very hard to find, in other words. They just followed this guy that had explosive diarrhea and found the medallion.
I think it's funny, too, because when she finds the medallion, she's got like a briefcase computer from the 90s.
Oh, yes. I did notice, and like a speaker pops out. Like,
yeah.
Holy shit.
It's supposed to be like a satellite phone or something, I think.
Yeah, that's what they were going for. But yeah.
Okay. Do you even have those? I guess we had them in the 90s.
I guess maybe even before then. I mean, when it comes to like military use, I'm sure they've had things very similar. But I mean, this was some prop guy's imagination running wild.
Yeah, wasting money. That's what
happened.
Yeah, probably $1 million of that $7 million budget was spent on that.
The suitcase.
It's so stupid. And it is just dumb. But then the movie, then you move from China, because why would you stay in China? And this is where I don't remember this in any Double Dragon game nor do I remember this in reality. So this takes place in 2007 Los Angeles after an earthquake cripples the city. I don't remember any earthquake in Los Angeles, but hey.
The distant future of 2007.
Yes.
I mean, and it is so like it's so stupid, and like it starts off with, you have Billy Lee and Jimmy Lee, who are the Double Dragon brothers, who do not look like brothers in this. Like the actors can't look farther from brothers.
And nobody has blonde hair. That pissed me off as a kid as well.
Well, I mean, they could have found people at least were kind of close to each other. I mean, the actors are Mark Dacascos.
DeCascos.
Oh,
Yeah.
I mean, he does a good job.
No, DeCascos he's very good martial artist. I mean, he made it believable much more than what Scott Wolf, I think his name is.
Yeah, Scott Wolf.
Yeah, like they took the right guy for that. And the thing about DeCasco too, and every time I was seeing him actually show off his martial arts, the karate tournament especially, it reminded me of like Power Rangers.
Yeah.
And I was thinking like, man, DeCascos could be a really good ass Power Ranger. I really wish he was back in those days.
That would have been awesome. Yeah, It's like when you watch the movie and you see our Billy fighting, whatever he does is just, it's like Ninja Turtles or something. Like he's throwing basketballs, he's knocking over candy machines so the bad guys trip. Like he is never doing martial arts whatsoever.
Well, in the fight scene during my second or third time I noticed this, there's one where he jumps in the air to punch the guy or something stupid. And I'm like, is that really necessary? Like, I don't think that's going to help much that you jump up and then punch him down. Like, I feel like that's not really going to help you. I'm not a martial artist, but...
It seemed like the guy was completely winging it out there. I mean,
like, what's the script?
No retakes, no nothing. Like, just wing it.
I mean, that part is
he took
just
it
so
from
stupid.
the video game. Yeah.
Oh, he is in the game, I guess. But, they're fighting each other... And then you have isn't it like a midget or something operating a jack? Because everything has like, yeah.
I thought it was so ridiculous. And they kept focusing on him during that damn fight scene. I'm like, what is the purpose of this midget?
Gotta see him when they start fighting and everybody starts rushing. He gotta start cranking that jack because the city is falling apart.
Yeah, let's keep up the second level, I guess. What is that? I don't get it.
Level 2. You know what?
Nothing. Yes.
I was going to say, I will give this movie props, though, because the matte paintings of the city actually do look pretty badass. I enjoy those paintings.
Scenery?
Yeah, like when it's outside and you see like the city crumpled in the background and like specific locations of LA.
I will agree with that, too. But I guess if you really look at it, you can really tell the bad job they did. But at the same time, this was back in 93, 94, where obviously it was so condensed and didn't look as we can't see it the same way we did back then. It would have looked a hell of a lot better back in those days.
I mean, I thought it still looked good.
It still looked pretty CGI.
Yeah.
I mean, it set the tone. I thought it did a very good job of setting it.
It looked better than Blade 2 does when you go back and watch Blade 2 when he's flying around. It looked a lot better.
Oh, you mean when he's in that fight scene in front of the lights?
Yes. It still holds up. I thought the backgrounds were really cool. Like there's a scene early on where they're driving because they're going to be late from curfew, and they're driving, and you see you hear them talking about flooding. You see the background, and it does look really cool. Like it's a very good. I mean, for someone that's probably from Los Angeles, like, oh, okay, I know what that street is, or I kind of have an idea what this is. I mean, I'm like, oh, okay, but
yeah,
I did like it.
I mean, some people were better at matte paintings than others. Like if you go back to original Star Wars, the guy who did that was phenomenal. And then you look at these, and it's like, well, they're good, but they're not as good as that. And that was done in the 70s, you know?
Right.
Yeah, but they cared.
Yeah, exactly. Well, they had a bigger budget too.
In the 70s.
Yeah, in the 70s.
This movie was a huge bomb. So.
It's the bomb, Mike? Is that what you said?
It was produced by Imperial Entertainment Group. That they don't even have a link here to click on. It's just nothing there. It just has the name of the production company. Like there's no website.
Was this their only movie, like one and done?
Surprised. I mean, you spend $7.8 million, you get back 2.3. You're probably not being like, "Hey, boss, can I get some more money?"
Right. I mean, the post-apocalyptic setting and all that. I mean, it made me a bit nostalgic for that time frame and being in the 90s and what I loved about beat 'em ups, because almost every single beat 'em up was in that type of setting. So I did miss that a little bit while watching that.
Oh, and if you Google Imperial Entertainment Group, all you get is the Facebook page.
They have one.
They have Facebook page. It's loading slowly, but that's all that came up. Nothing else. Like no website came up. It just took me to a Facebook page. I'm like, wow. And almost more people like our page and like this thing. So I don't think. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I don't think.
What the hell?
So it's not a movie company. Whatever I'm looking at, I don't know what it is, but it doesn't look like a movie company, and it's in New Jersey.
It's a porn studio.
New Jersey.
You know, maybe. But... All right, back to the stupid.
Might have more likes if it was. I don't
know. But I mean, so you have them. So after they have the stupid tournament and they lost because it was so stupid. If he would have just left his brother in, they would have won the damn tournament because they were winning. But he's like, I got to show off and be stupid because I'm Billy or Jim, whatever the hell he is, Jimmy.
Billy.
Yeah, and that's the thing. That's the thing about Billy though in this movie. He's such a dipshit. Whereas in the cartoon. Or anything else that he's usually portrayed in, he's the more serious, like almost seemingly leader of the two brothers.
Yeah.
And here he's a complete goofball.
Billy's the blue brother in the game, and Jimmy's the red brother.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Billy's more like the Leonardo in the cartoon and stuff.
Yeah, that's how I always saw it too. Yeah.
Like Michelangelo.
Yeah.
Yeah. Exactly.
I mean, they should have gave him an orange outfit. It really wouldn't have mattered anymore.
I mean, they do find a way to give him like blue shirts and red shirts. Just randomly, they have blue on or red on to help you know who's who.
And again, a very like it made me think of Power Rangers the whole time too when they did that. They're just wearing their designated colors.
It's a very good comparison. There's a lot of that in this movie.
And they do morph at the end.
Yeah, you know, that's a good point. Power Ranger was out at this time, wasn't it? 94?
It was. It actually came out in 93, so the year before.
Okay. It was in Japan long before that, so yeah, it could easily help inspire this movie.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, Power Rangers took off by 94. They were megastars by then, so yeah, I don't see why that wouldn't inspire anything in there.
Yeah, and well, we should explain the plot. Basically, what's going on? It's so dumb. That's me, RoboCop 3 too, so that's even worse. What's
Terminator
going on
2 in that movie also?
No. What's going on is the police are like overrun by the gangs. So the gangs rule the night. The police are out during the day. There's a curfew. Anyone who's left out has to deal with the gangs. And in RoboCop 3, the same thing happens. Like the police are only in the day and the gangs in the night. And there's splatter punks everywhere. So the Double Dragon get caught after curfew, and they get stopped because is it Billy or Jimmy who sees it's Billy. He sees a chick with a broken down car, the old cliche, and he's like, "Oh, I'm gonna take care of her." And
wearing a mini skirt,
wearing a mini skirt
and a blonde wig.
It's a dude.
It's so stupid.
Yeah.
That was a pretty shitty setup, I'd say.
I mean, and also you're driving around, you're in a bad, terrible looking area, and you're like, oh, what's this random hot chick doing here? Let's go find out. I'd be like, let's go home.
Let's go. How about this hot chick with the dude ass?
Yeah. She must work
really
out.
ugly looking dude too. As he takes off the wig, he got a mohawk, and he's just real skinny looking. He's just like.
I feel like it takes them a bit to respond to that too, to react to it. Like I think Billy was kind of thinking about it. I was like, well, should I still go for it? I don't know.
And then you introduce and we hadn't, as you kind of glossed over it. Also, there's a villain. Well, we'll get to the main villain, but also then you have this really stupid sort of from the game. Well, they took the name where you have this gang that comes up to him, and Abo, who, as many people know, is the first boss in Double Dragon. Well,
that would be a Bobo.
Bobo?
Bobo.
Bobo. He got his own game, Mike. Huh? He got his own game.
He did have his own fan game, but
yeah. Made by anybody that made Double Dragon.
That's true.
It's a good game though.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I watched it on YouTube, but it was pretty damn cool.
That's probably better. I tried playing it. It's not easy. It's hard. I didn't have save states, so I was very sad. All right, but I mean that whole thing with Bobo or whatever. For one thing, in the game, Bobo was a big black. I know I'm saying it wrong. I don't care anymore. It's a
I think you actually had it right that time.
Oh well. And in this movie, it's an ugly white guy with a mohawk, and he's just stupid as hell. Like they made him and all the gang members just cartoony stupid. Like and then they finally, after they try to grab the necklace, that whoever the hell their adopted guardian in the back seat that we had mentioned yet.
Shatori?
Yeah, I meant to catch her name, but I sure didn't.
It doesn't matter. She don't make it long after this anyway.
She's pretty though.
Yeah, she is. Yeah, it is Satori though. But
yeah.
She doesn't. I mean, she has a piece. They don't know what it is. They don't know about the special double dragon. And then finally, after he tries to grab the necklace and she stabs Bobo in the hand, then they drive off. They could have drove off this whole time, but they're gonna wait until like maybe these guys will just let us leave. Like, you know, that's what happens when you're in a post-apocalyptic city in the game. It's like, hey, you can keep going. You don't got to pay any fees. We don't want you.
Well, doesn't he make like a joke about it too? He's like, yes. $20, man. Like, we accept all major credit cards.
And American Express. I mean, that was just such a 90s joke too.
It definitely was. Yeah.
American Express.
Completely dated.
I mean, I understood it. It also was kind of funny to me because when I was at Sam's Club 5 years ago, they didn't accept American Express still. So I'm like, but it's stupid as hell. So,
don't leave home without it.
Then you have a chase. This part was so stupid.
Yeah,
I felt like that chase scene was such a waste of time. And then the whole car was. Who knows how much they spent on that damn car? Let's not forget.
I mean, the idea of the car was cool, that it uses garbage to power it. That they were just shoving garbage into a little furnace underneath them, which seems very safe. But they're not even shoving like. They're putting like newspaper. I don't know how much energy you're gonna get out of a sheet of newspaper. Like, no matter what you're using.
Yeah. Well, I think the point is that the city is so trashed, which if you've ever been to LA, there's a lot of trash there. No offense to LA or anyone in it or any of that. It's just,
calling you out.
Yeah. But yeah.
I don't know if it's LA, but I know he's out there.
I don't know. It's definitely not fighting global warming.
I think the hardest part about that chase scene was just a Bobo to begin with. Like, that character was so obnoxious and so stupid. It was just hard to watch.
Yeah.
It really is. And then you have the scene they grab a dirty map and throw the map. It goes in the windshield, and the guy's like, "What are we gonna do now?" And they pull out a fucking camera, like control system that guides them to where to go. And I'm just like, really? Is this really necessary? We could have.
And then obviously the graphics were eye-rapingly horrible.
Because video games.
Yeah,
That was like Atari video games. I mean, graphics. Like, they couldn't even have couldn't they come up with something better, like the Super Nintendo or something? I mean, it was terrible.
I don't know. They could have just scrapped that whole idea to begin with. Who knows how much they spent on that small computer portion of it anyway?
A lot of money, I bet. Or maybe it's cheaper to do that than actually show them driving for a second.
They could have. It feels like they could have saved so much money if they would have just stuck closer to like source material, whether that's the game or the cartoon. They could have probably saved a hell of a lot more money and told a better story.
That's true. They just had to put the camera on a little dolly and just go left to right, and that's all they had to do. Everyone would have been on board.
Oh god! And then when they're in the chase scene and they're trying to get away, and then he has a can of Cheese Whiz for some reason, and he's reading it, and he's like, "It says combustible, and it says this," and he throws it in the engine. I mean, that part was so fucking stupid. Like I just rolled my eyes and went, "Why is this in this movie?"
Because fun, Mike.
Yeah, tons of fun. Even as a kid, when you think something stupid as hell as a kid, I mean, it's just a bad idea all around.
I don't remember as a kid what I thought, but watching it now, it's fucking stupid. And I'm pretty sure as a kid I would have thought it's fucking stupid too. It wasn't really even funny. And then they don't even go anywhere. They run down an alley and crash their car. I mean, it seemed unnecessary.
And then Bobo just forgot how to hit the brakes, I guess. Like, it seems like he had a lot of time to stop before he got smashed in that alleyway.
Well, he's fucking stupid. Like, they made him so dumb. Like, this guy runs a gang. Like, did he need to be this dumb? But yeah.
I mean, if he's that stupid, why is he driving to start with?
I mean, I think it was going for that whole. I mean, this movie altogether feels like you're trying to make a cheese comedy, which I don't know if that's what they were going for, but they did a good job of that.
Well, you could tell that it seems like they didn't take this movie seriously at all. Not even 1% seriously. Like they didn't give a damn.
Well, I mean, Bobo is the muscle of the gang. I don't think he's the brains of the operation.
No, I would guess not. But again, if we're talking about the games, like he's never really shown intelligence. Like they never get into any character's intelligence level, and he looked a hell of a lot cooler in the game.
That's true.
He is not cool, especially what they do to him a little bit later is terrible. But one thing I do want, one joke that is still that was stupid, that I'm assuming was stupid as a kid, I still thought was stupid, was they called them the Ugg and Home brothers, ugly and homely. I'm like,
isn't it holy?
Homely.
Holy.
Boy? Oh, it's holy.
Holy.
I thought it was HOM, homie.
No, I'd say it's holy and ugly. But either way, no matter which route you went with that, it sucks ass.
Oh, it's so stupid. And then you get to introduce Who's the Boss character, who looks nothing like she does in that show. They had Alyssa Milano's in this movie. Why?
Yeah. She plays the girlfriend Mary, who gets taken in the first game.
Is that? But she's not even really the girlfriend in this. Like, she's not even.
Like, yeah, she's the love interest. Yeah, I mean, it's more so with Billy than Jimmy, but which kind of bothered me too, because Jimmy's obviously the more badass martial artist, nicer guy, not a dipshit, and yet
better looking.
yeah, I guess so. And then Billy here, even like after the movie wraps in real life, like is actually I think engaged to her.
Oh,
like, this is the guy that literally gets the girl, like, and he sucks.
I'm assuming it didn't last.
No, it didn't last. No.
Okay. She also just came off of Who's the Boss when this movie was coming out. For those
they actually made a reference to it in the movie.
Yes, they did. That's one of the best parts of this movie. We'll talk about that a little later.
Yeah, we'll get to that.
As I know, I think this is Alyssa Milano's like last turn at trying to be famous again, and then after this, she did like some softcore porn movie, and then was never heard from again.
Oh, she did Charm. She was on Charm for the whole series.
Well, wasn't that
Charmed?
I
have too much of it, by the way.
But she was never in any movies again, right?
Let's sit down in my thinking chair and
after the 90s, she was kind of unheard of after that. I mean, now she's a crazy activist on Instagram. That's really about it.
Oh yeah.
Although she's pretty though, still. I will say that. But
I mean, that was her best asset, though. I mean, everybody loved how she looked. There was no denying that. There's
another super fucking dumb part that when they introduce her that I didn't catch until my third time watching this movie today. Okay, so when a Bobo gets all scared and runs off, and they're like, "Yeah, we're all tough." Jimmy and Billy are like, "Yeah, we scared him off, yeah, brother." And they turn around and the gang in quotation, this like whatever the hell they're called, Power something.
The Power Core.
Power Core. They're wearing jackets that just happen to have the right spray paint. They stand right by this one wall. They'll blend in. They can't stand on a different wall. They got to stand on this one wall. And they blend in the background.
I mean, they could have came up with so many other ideas instead of that. That was so stupid.
I mean, and then the whole gang that she's in charge of, like she looks like she's like 14 in this movie or something, or she acts like she looks older, but like just her character when they portray her looks to be like she's still in school or something, like really young.
Well, everybody acts like they're about 8 years old in this movie. So
that's true.
Oh, I watched this movie too many times.
But yeah, they get saved by the Power Core.
Well, there's a few things wrong with that. Just the introduction of the standing against the wall, and they just happen to blend in, or maybe they were just sleeping. They were just sleeping, and somebody spray painted over them. I don't know, but the Power Core the Power Core as a concept. Why even implement them in the movie? Why is this focus being trailed away from the brothers? It's all about the brothers, the Devil Dragons. Why bring in another group? Like, yeah, I guess there's tons of gangs out there. Maybe you'll need some help because it's only two of you. But that's what makes it so badass is these two guys that have the power to take on them.
And then one thing we haven't talked about yet is the villain from this movie. Well, most people would probably know him better as the Terminator 2 villain. Because that's the actor.
Yeah, Robert Patrick.
And he did a good job. He's a good actor.
It up, though.
So, yeah.
I mean, that was the character. The character's named Shuko. That doesn't matter. But he plays a rich billionaire who wants to take over the city any means necessary. Huh,
what's his real name though? Or in the movie, like what's his real name? It's not Kogashuko.
They took
he called himself Kogashuko after I wrote it down. Took his name from an ancient Japanese warrior.
Mm-hmm. Who took it from? He took it from two things. He was wearing shoes and he was drinking Coca-Cola, so he said Coca Shuko Ko.
That was actually kind of funny.
So in the movie, his name is Victor Geisman. For some reason, just they had to implement that Japanese name instead.
It's unnecessary. Like,
it was unneeded. Besides the fact that the whole story is originating from China, but now you're putting in Japanese elements in the movie, along with those two shadow warriors that pop up way at the end of the movie. Like, I didn't get that. I didn't know why they did that.
It's dumb. But I forgot. And then also another thing is one of the people he has with him, which I'm assuming is Lash or Vash, whatever her name is from the games.
Lash.
Linda Lash.
Mm-hmm.
In the movie, her name's Lash. In the games, I believe it's something different, isn't it?
Okay, it just says enemy character from the video game. But one thing I noticed after my 3 times watching this movie, as the movie progresses, she gets less and less clothing on. So
I actually didn't notice that, but I kind of want to figure that out now.
Because when you first see her, she has a jacket on and things. You see her later, the jacket's off. She's got a whip. And then by the end of the movie, she's getting a whole like dominatrix outfit almost. It's slowly getting there. But
yeah,
I watched the movie.
She's actually, that actress is from General Hospital. And if you guys remember, Maria, her character, when she ties her up, she says, "Generally, I usually put people in the hospital and just walk away from it." Yeah.
So that was the general. Okay.
They reference each other's movies or TV shows or whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Tiffin thought that she's like, I'm pretty sure it's General Hospital reference. I'm like, I don't know. Let's get this movie over with. That's all I was thinking.
Well, she was spot on, so.
And then you had one of the dumbest, leading up to some of the dumbest scenes, but then they take out Bobo, and when Bobo's like getting pulled away, you have this big guy who can apparently, bench press 10 men, or at the strength of 10 men. He gets pulled away by 2 old Chinese guys holding his hand and Lash with a whip around his neck. They just pull him away. And I'm like, really? Like, you're not even going to fight? You're just going to let him?
They said he could bench press like 800 pounds, right? That guy would have absolutely no problem dealing with that situation.
Yeah. And he's just like, no. Then they take him downstairs, and there's a really stupid line from Kugo and he's like, "I love you like a son. I can just have more if you die," or something like that.
It's Coca Shuko, Mike, but it's fine. I don't care if you get it wrong. I'm just going to point it out for the audience.
I think I love you as a son, and like a son, I can always have another one. I think that's the line.
Yeah.
And he delivers it all normal. Like, it's not the dumbest line he ever read in a script before.
I don't know how he signed on to this movie.
I don't know either.
I read a quote from him saying that on paper in the script, he's like, this could be a really good movie. And then what became of it, he's like, ooh, that didn't go good. But I think he's still proud of his performance, though, is what happened.
Good job.
Well, he should be. I mean, he is the best part of the movie besides DeCasco's martial art.
I agree.
That's only good things about this. There were a couple scenes that I did enjoy. So I mean, after you have this happen, and then that's when that's when Shuko finds out that they have the other piece of the amulet, and you also find out that the amulet he has, if he holds it in his hand, he turns into a shadow monster. Because why not?
Right. Because one of the medallions has the power over the body, and the other one has the power over the soul.
That's it.
He has the soul.
Yeah. And what he does is he basically goes to the gangs and he's like, I rule now. And he takes out some dude and from the Hills Have Eyes. Yeah, I think he's also in the Hills Have Eyes. Right. Yeah. Yeah. He sends them after the Double Dragon to get the medallion because he couldn't do it himself, apparently.
Well, that's right after they attack the movie theater where Billy and Jimmy Lee are living. In an old abandoned movie theater, which has some of the dumbest scenes, has a few, well, I shouldn't say, more dumb scenes of the movie. And that's what we were talking about earlier, where they fight with basketballs and hit a gumball machine and so stupid.
Is that where
Bobo
front flips over the railing?
Yeah, but he comes back because they pumped a bunch of steroids into him. after they dragged him off by a little Chinese guy. Was that necessary to have him look like he just got pumped full of sugar? Looks like a giant, fat, weird ass thing.
He really literally looks like a walking tumor. He looks hideous.
How much money must that costume have cost to do all that makeup for no reason? I mean, anyone who's listening to this, if you're sitting down, just search Double Dragon screenshot, or just search Double Dragon the movie. You'll see what we mean real fast if you didn't watch this movie as a kid.
Yeah, he kind of looks like a big ball sack is what he really looks like.
I was really trying to avoid that, but yes, he does look like a giant nutsack. Like a giant shaved nutsack.
Oh, so that's what you guys wanted to have. I mean, just that whole scene when they attack the theater, I didn't really care for, and then they burn it down in the dumbest way possible. I mean, he does one of those like old stupid movies type cliche things where they pour the gasoline. He's like, "Give me the amulet, or I'm gonna burn the place down." And then he's about to light a cigarette or his cigar. Then he goes into a shadow and drops the lighter.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, so dumb. I was not. Couldn't do it. But I really hated that scene. I hated everything about that part when they were in the theater. I just don't care for that part. I just thought it was really.
I think we should have cheered for the theater getting burned.
I was okay with it. I wasn't upset. I mean, I didn't care. Burned down the entire movie. I didn't care what happened. I didn't care what happened to these characters. I was like, okay.
I mean, it is kind of sad when they lose Satori and they don't know what to do, and they act like children actually, because they're just like, well, what now? And
they run off. They're by the dock. Their car is broken because they put the cheese can in there from earlier.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, I can see it being a little bit of a sad scene.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's about the only emotion you're going to get in that entire movie was those set of events, and that is it.
Maybe you guys will know this. I didn't get this. There's one part where they have the newscasters come on, and there's the weatherman kind of talks about like how there's acid rain and you better have smog is coming. You better be by a fan. That guy was a famous comedian at this time in the 90s.
Talking about Andy Dick
or something.
Yeah, Andy Dick definitely.
Oh
was.
yeah.
Okay, I don't really remember who he was. I didn't like comedy. Oh.
You didn't like horror. You didn't like comedy. What did you like?
Movie. I liked it when the end credits came on. But okay, I was pretty sure he was somebody famous at the time, and that's why they just threw a cameo in this movie for.
Oh, for sure, they had even Vanna White in there too.
Okay, so the guy wasn't the guy from Wheel of Fortune, though.
The woman from Wheel of Fortune. No, the guy wasn't.
Okay, I remember them saying Vanna White, but I couldn't remember what the hell she looked like back then. So I'm like, well, this doesn't help. I don't care either. So
she was a very classy white.
Okay,
that's really her whole persona.
But then you come up. I want to say one of my favorite scenes of this movie when they're running through the port or the dock, wherever the hell they are, and all of a sudden it becomes the Warriors movie.
That's exactly what I thought too. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that is what it is. I mean, you have villains who are dressed up as like the postman. There's a joke about I've never seen a postman move that fast, and then I'm like, is it just a mailman that just happened to be in a bad place? No, it's a whole gang of mailmen. You have a guy with big fat like balls on his fingertips, walking around. Like, I mean, you have these just weird people in costumes.
He looks exactly like he's wearing the same gloves as a putty from Power Rangers.
Probably was.
I wouldn't doubt it for a second. But yeah, no, this whole scene, this whole fight in the junkyard, this is all they needed to do to make a good movie. Just a double dragon beating the shit out of a bunch of random guys from gangs. That's all you needed. That's why this is probably like one of the two best scenes out of the whole movie, I would say.
It's a fun scene. It honestly is that I did enjoy that part a lot when they're just fighting.
I find it funny too when they chase him through the bus and then they close the door on him and they're just all stuck in the bus after having to like run through it. I don't know. It's stupid. It's very funny. It's very Scooby-Doo.
But it worked. Like
most of the
that
fight
was
scenes kind of work out that way.
That part was just entertaining. I mean, I didn't really care for the part when they go in the hut and they're all trying to break down the hut. They're talking about they can't swim because the water is poisonous. I mean, it was still funny, but I liked it better when they're running around outside.
Mm-hmm.
And then you And then you have the boat part, because it's the '90s. You got to have a movie where people are running around on a boat for some reason. I didn't care for that. I didn't care when they're being chased on the boat, and the other guy has guns, and they're just trying to do the boat thing and get away from him. I didn't like that at all.
One thing I can appreciate is that they did try to have action scenes when it counted. It didn't feel like it was lacking any action, that's for sure. Whether or not they pull it off very well, that's another conversation.
Really.
Yeah. Well, I mean, did you guys laugh when they're stuck inside the boathouse and that guy like peeks in and he's like, I can see you, and then he's like, no you can't, and he shoves the pole in his eye,
and then he starts crying in the guy's arms.
Yeah, and the other like gangster dude, he like just hugs him. I'm like, ah.
I think as a kid I even enjoyed that small part.
Yeah.
Stupid, but I don't know, it didn't do it for
I mean,
me.
whoever that actor was that played that short mohawk guy, he was actually a pretty good dipshit. Like, he played a good dipshit.
Oh, yeah. 100%.
It was believable.
I can go down a record. He played a good dipshit.
In the credits, it should have said dipshit and then his name next to it.
And then you get to the dumbest part of this movie that I remember as a kid, I thought this was stupid. As an adult, I still think it's stupid. So after they burned down the theater, Bobo's left in the theater, and the power crew, whatever their name is, they go and find him, and again he gets pulled. I know he gets pulled away by two little 12-year-olds. I mean, this is a guy who has all these steroids pumped in him. I know.
It's just not getting any of the names of anything in this movie.
Fuck this movie. Okay? I don't know if you got this
You
yet.
sound like a parent that had their kid watch this movie and are talking about it.
I'm so ashamed. They showed all this violence. I don't like this kind of violence. My son shouldn't be seeing this. Little Timmy should not see this kind of violence. Like that.
I guess.
That was a little hard to do.
Like, hey, little Timmy, did you like the Power Crew?
The Power Kids?
Kurgle Circle? Or...
Power Corpse. Oops. By the way, that wasn't on purpose.
Oh, that's my favorite metal band.
Okay. And so then you have the part where Bobo is tied down and they feed him spinach through a funnel.
Oh, what a waste.
Torture.
Yeah. That was it's bad enough with Bobo's in the scene, but then they combine it with that. Yeah, it was the absolute worst scene in the movie.
And she's wearing an apron, Alyssa Milano is. And the other one part, I was looking at this because I watched this too many times, is I'm like, that spinach won't go down this funnel. It's too thick. It's not liquid. That's a small funnel. This is not going to work. But
you overthought that for sure.
I know. I thought more about that than anyone else working on this movie did.
Well, we all know Bobo's a mouth breather, so maybe it works.
But
yeah,
why
really.
would you feed someone as a torture? Because it's essentially you're trying to interrogate him and torture him, so you're feeding him spinach.
Diarrhea again. Diarrhea.
I mean, all I was taught as a kid is you feed him spinach, you go, and you're Popeye the Sailor Man, not a torture device. Like, oh, so now you're gonna kick everybody's ass.
Yeah, it was really bad, really poorly thought out.
It's so stupid. And he has a freaking apron on with a cow and chicken. Or not apron, a little bib.
Mm-hmm. I think it's trying to be so lighthearted that it just ends up being stupid, is what it is. Because everything they do in the movie, it's just supposed to be fun. But at the end of the day, it's just really corny and cheesy and stupid.
Well, I think that they thought their target audience was going to be 5-year-olds, when the actual target audience was more between 8 and 12.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, probably. Yeah, teenagers maybe. A bit.
Yeah, I mean, unless you go, what was this movie? PG-13? It had to be PG, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm assuming
There's absolutely
it doesn't show me
no blood, no sex, no nothing. So it had to be PG. So again, I mean, that's a 5-year-old kind of range.
Let's see.
Mortal Kombat kind of made it more for the PG-13 crowd. It might have been PG-13, but
yeah, it was
they got
PG-13.
it right with their target audience. This movie missed the mark on that.
You're telling me it wasn't my impersonation of a woman from the 90s? It wasn't that, huh? That wasn't the target audience? Well, all right. I actually don't remember where this movie goes next. I don't they sneak into the tower of Kukushuko?
Yeah.
Okay.
Continue. Go for it, man.
I'm just going to keep saying things wrong just because at this point.
Koga Shuckle?
We'll just start calling him Shukoke. That's his name. Shukoke.
Sure, whatever, man. Just change it every time you say his name. Just change it anyway, because it's probably funnier.
It's partly. It's not even the funny. The best part is it isn't completely on purpose. I just keep kind of forgetting how to pronounce it, and I also just don't care.
The power.
So I'm not putting any much effort into it.
Oh, what did you say? A Bobo's name was like
a Bobo.
No, now, yeah.
I don't remember. Too far back.
It's a good thing we recorded this, but continue.
You just ain't getting edited out, buddy. This is all staying in.
Good. No, that's what I want. That's what I want. Then we can always go back and listen to you butcher the names.
Well, don't they go to the tower then? I think it was the next thing they do after
Yeah, maybe so. So didn't they plan with the power record? The brothers planned with the power record to go to the tower and maybe take the other half of the medallion, or what was the plan with that?
Yeah, they wanted to take it because they realized that eventually him and the gangs were going to come after them. So they might as well do the first strike and get in there and try and take it first from him. And that, I got to be honest, like when they go to the basement, because they fail at taking it, when they go to the basement and you see all of Kogashuko's like experiments and shit, and he ends up he starts possessing them. As a kid, that part legit like freaked me out. Like all the bodies just rising off of the like examination tables.
It did take like a very Resident Evil dark turn. It was kind of out of place, but it worked. It was something different.
Yeah, it was crazy weird. It's just weird, right?
Weird is a very good word to use for this movie, yes.
Well, I mean, the entire movie it's a blanket statement, I'd say, but
yeah,
I forgot that Billy the dumb one, Billy the dumb one gets captured. No, Jimmy got captured in this.
Jimmy got captured, yeah.
Mm-hmm. The good dragon.
Doesn't he possess him then or something?
He does, and that's when the brothers end up fighting when they meet again. But you know what kind of bothers me about this is that they make Billy out to be almost the main protagonist, whereas Jimmy at certain points kind of falls by the wayside, and this is one of those moments. He's the damsel in distress. He's the one that needs to get saved.
Yeah. Maybe that's because he was sleeping with Alyssa Milano. You know,
I guess, but I mean, it's a white guy.
It's
a white guy in the 90s. I mean, I'm not that surprised, I guess.
Mm-hmm. I wonder if they took any like residents from TMNT where like Raphael gets like his ass beat and like he needs to heal and be saved and stuff like that.
But they pulled it off so much better.
Yeah, exactly. But it's just weird. It's so weird.
I guess when you really get into it, though, if you go to some of this, well, like the cartoon, I mean, Billy did end up going after Jimmy and trying to save his brother or bring him back or whatever happened, and that is kind of in the same vein. But who's the more badass martial artist? Who's the more childish one? That should have been Jimmy's job.
Yeah. Because wasn't in the cartoon, didn't they have like tattoos on their chest? I know I had the toys, I think, but like, didn't they have tattoos on their chest? And like when they would activate the dragon, like they would have masks or something?
Yeah.
And they did. And they had the deepest V-necks you'll ever see in your life.
I believe it.
That's how you saw the tattoo on their chest constantly. Like they were constantly on display. Like that's how big I want to get. I just want to get that muscular so I can just wear the deepest V-neck I've ever seen and show a chest tattoo.
I've seen the picture. You were getting close. So you looked more like the Hulk at one time. You did anything else? So
yeah. Not that big anymore, but you know.
Like that requires a lot of constant. Oh my God, you weren't kidding about the V-neck, Andre. It's not even a V-neck. It goes all the way down to their belt. To show
it's
off
almost
their
like
entire chest.
It's almost like a Ben Stiller dick V.
I don't remember this cartoon at all. Other than I know I watched it when I was a kid at one point.
I watched the hell out of it. The thing about Double Dragon, though, and one reason I was so excited for the cartoon when I saw there was one, is because when I was a kid, when I got my first Nintendo, one of the first games I ever played, it was either Mario or Double Dragon. I can't remember which one I played first, but I had them both, and I fucking loved Double Dragon, so I was really excited for the cartoon.
Mm-hmm. Yep, so was I.
I don't remember. I just remember that I had the figures, and I remember the cartoon, but it's very vague at this point.
Yeah, I think everybody for some reason had the figures, and it was weird too because they had mismatched colors. Like Billy had the blue, obviously, and then he had a red mask.
Oh yeah, that's right. It didn't make any sense.
Welcome to Double Dragon.
And then they had the green swords or whatever sword. No, maybe the toys were green, but in the show they weren't actually green. They're like actually silver and all that.
Yeah, I think they're.
No, the toys are definitely green. Yeah, in the cartoon they're silver.
Yeah, can't believe I actually remember that.
All right, and then after, the final fight scene of this movie takes place in the Power Corp, like school or base, whatever the hell warehouse they took over from the Turtles 1989 movie.
And that's exactly what it reminded me of too.
I think that's what they were going for. I mean, don't you have like a skate ramp and all sorts of stuff, just like that movie from the Turtles movie?
Graffiti, like the Foot Clan hideout. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Underage kids smoking and playing blackjack.
Well, Power Core didn't do that. But yeah, close enough.
and then you end up, and that's where you have the big climax of this movie where everybody's fighting. Kogashuka comes, Lash, everyone shows up and they all start fighting. And that's when you have the best line in the movie. There's one part where Lash I want to say Alyssa Milano, I think, punches Lash, and then she says, "Who's the boss now?" or something like it. I know it's a "Who's the boss" joke. Oh, okay, I smiled. I think
she says, "I'm the boss now." Isn't that what Lash says?
I thought it was "Who's the boss now."
Maybe.
Could have swore. When I watched this movie the other two times, I didn't get this far.
I don't know. I just saw that part today, and I still can't remember it. So
I want to say she punches her and says, "Who's the boss now?" And then that was my favorite part of this entire movie.
See, Lash throughout the whole movie, other than running in the beginning in that ninja suit, she absolutely did nothing in the whole movie. She stood around, said some one-liners, lazily threw out her whip, and that was it.
Hey, but she put the whip around Bubbles' neck and pulled him down. You know, that guy that's 800 pounds, and pulled him over.
Well, I mean, and that doesn't make any sense either. I guess he didn't have the nutsack neck yet.
That came later.
It's weird too that he knows that Kogashuko's like weakness is the light, because I don't think he was ever in that scene when that happened, was he?
I don't even remember this.
He's like, he hates the lights.
Oh yes, no. When he's talking to them, when he's talking to Kogashuka, they turn on the lights and he gets upset and got to put his glasses on. He is there.
Oh, okay, all right.
It doesn't hurt him. He just gets upset. I mean, not like it'd be like me closing turning on the heat when I'm hot. Like, I'm not gonna die. I'm just gonna be upset with you or something. It's not.
Yeah, it's weird. Equivalent. It's like his super weakness though, which is very weird. Like it's just light. I don't know if Kogashuko's like.
Is that because he had a dark soul or what was it? I mean, they don't really explain how the powers really work, because he obviously puts them together as one person and becomes a shadow of two and hurts by the light or whatnot. But when these Double Dragon brothers put the Double Dragon medallion together, the lights are fully on and they don't turn into shadows and shit. So they don't really explain the powers very well.
Mm-hmm. Maybe it's because it's like what is it? Where like if you have like a dark heart, then the power turns dark or something. Like if you have
that's the way I tried to explain it or try to cope with it, but they still never explained it. You can assume that, I guess.
Yeah, never.
Well, not like they really needed to in this movie anyway.
We're all thinking more about this movie than they thought about this movie when they made it.
I mean, I think the real question here is why the hell did they pick that spinach scene?
It was just the 90s. and then as we mentioned earlier, in this scene when they're fighting, this is when they finally get the power from the amulet and they turn into the Double Dragon. They both get their outfits.
And they do. And as a kid, I also did not like the outfits. I hated the outfits.
Too razzle-dazzle.
I guess so. They seemed shimmery and glimmery, and man, the Double Dragons are supposed to be badass, like almost like street guys in a way, and here you got these funny looking, seemingly cheaply made, like bedazzled outfits.
Do they even have any powers? Like, I can't remember if they're able to like jump high or do anything better once they change their Power Ranger outfits.
Well, they did actually. DeCasco, so Jimmy, he actually possessed Kogashuko, and Billy was still had his like super strength or endurance or whatever he had.
But it kind of feels like the Costco's had to slow down his fighting just to let whoever the guy that played Billy like be a part of that double team on Kogashuko.
You're probably right, and that was the only time that Billy looked slightly more impressive. Like he tried harder, or they're like, "Hey, quit being dumpy. We need a roundhouse or something," and they showed him how for like a week.
He missed every time, but they filmed it anyway.
I mean, he doesn't seem like he knew what he was doing in this movie.
He really didn't. And what's worse, again, is that he was almost the main protagonist over Jimmy, and that's what really hurts.
Because Mark Dacascos does a good job in this movie.
That guy is so fucking cool. Like, if you've ever seen Only the Strong, I don't know if you've ever seen that.
Never heard
but I watched that movie a billion times as a kid. Now he was the lead in that movie, and they actually focus on capoeira. So like the stuff Eddie Gordo uses. I mean, that guy made it popular and cool back in like the early 90s.
Yeah, that was a really good movie, and I kind of wish he stuck to acting instead of going into hosting Iron Chef.
Oh Jesus, that's the same guy.
Okay. Yeah. I was wondering when I saw him, I'm like, that looks like the guy from Iron Chef. No, it can't be. Well,
surprise.
Oh,
now he's really homely.
Apparently he's in Agent of S.H.I.E.L.D. also in the third season at one point.
Really? I mean, he does kind of pop up randomly and stuff you wouldn't suspect, but I mean, hey, the guy's still got to make a living.
He's in the Mortal Kombat Legacy show too.
He is in there, and that was pretty cool actually. He was in more recently and more famously in John Wick 3.
Oh wow! I need to watch that now.
Yeah, I actually haven't seen it, but every time I saw trailers and things, I was like, that's Mark Dacascos. He's the main antagonist in there.
Crazy! That is awesome. Yeah, John Wick's the best now.
John Wick beats Double Dragon. Yeah, me too. No, I actually saw the first and second. I haven't seen the third though.
Yeah, same here.
I need to watch them at some point. All right. Any last thoughts about this movie that you guys want to say? We're going to shut the box.
Well, I'll kind of sum things up here before we get to that point. But it's for me, I was a little excited to watch it again just because I do like watching movies as an adult that I only really screened as a kid. You know, kind of pick out things I maybe wouldn't have noticed, or do I still appreciate it as much as I did as a kid, or hate it as much as I did as a kid? In this case, but no, it was nice to watch again. Like I said, like I think the best part about it for me was seeing not only Dacascos and how cool he'd be as a Power Ranger, but the whole post-apocalyptic setting. I miss that, and I don't feel we get that very much today, unless you're talking about a Fallout or something like that. But it was nice to see.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's true.
Okay. So I'll ask my famous question: Shelfer box then, Rich? Red Fox?
Oh, I'd box the hell out of it for sure, and then probably burn it afterwards in that dirty, polluted ass river, and never look back again.
In the acid rain.
I just kind of praised it and shit all over it. But go.
I know, that's why I can't stop laughing. You're just like, it's a good movie. It was good to see it. Go to the box, burned it, done. I'm like, that's not what I expected. Stefan, how about you?
Well, as a kid, I mean, I actually had a good time watching this movie, but I didn't know any better, and I was like 5 years old. But yeah, we used to like go in the backyard after we'd play some Double Dragon on Nintendo, and do our like karate moves. And one of my friends would be Billy, and I'd be Jimmy. But that was the good old days. Now today, oh man, that glimmer in my eye for Double Dragon has faded so hard. I have lost my love for this movie. It's still got some cool stuff in it. I'll give it that. It's got some cool fight scenes with Damascus, but other than that, it's gonna go in the box. I can't put it on the shelf. I would feel weird. So it's going in the box.
Okay.
You know, even if I had a Double Dragon collection that I had, it would be really, really hard to put this on the shelf with the rest of my collector items.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
And I actually have Stuart Mann's review here because he wasn't on this episode. That's what we call him now for some reason. But
You're butchering his name too?
I butchered everybody's name this episode. In the famous words in Grand Theft Auto 3, I've been drinking again. I haven't done it yet, but I wanted to say that. So I know you remember those days.
In the Navy.
My mother's my sister. So remember that one, Grand Theft Auto 3?
I missed GTA 3.
That was such a good game. All right. Stu's words, not mine, not my words. Double Dragon's a bad movie with bad acting, bad writing, bad logic, and bad hair. In spite of this, it is one of the most ridiculous, over-the-top, and altogether fun bad movies ever made. Every aspect of the movie works together to create a perfect meal of a Cheese Whiz-covered cheese wheel with government cheese slices as a finisher. The gangs are straight out of the Warriors, the stunts straight out of the Three Stooges, and the set design straight out of Escape from New York. Every single character chews the scenery in the best way. Robert Patrick treats the movie as a vacation, from playing his usual silent, sullen villain to experiment with playing a live-action cartoon baddie. And if you think that's bad, wait until you meet his lawyers. Ugly and Homely have the least screen presence of any character on screen, but that in itself feels more like a joke than a failing, however unintentional. And at the end of the day, it seems like everyone involved had fun making this movie. I certainly have fun every time I watch it. Double Dragon will remain high on my shelf for years to come.
How did I know he was going to do that? I knew it.
Of course, dude. All right.
I mean, other than a podcast purpose, I mean, how could anybody sit down and watch this?
If anyone who's listening to this wants to watch it, it's on Amazon Prime and it's on YouTube. So if you have YouTube, there.
I watched it on Prime.
I
did too, 3 times.
Yeah.
3.
Yeah. Just to be clear before this ends too, if this was like, if we had been doing this podcast like 10 years ago, it would have been on my shelf. At any year previous to that, it probably would have been on my shelf, but not anymore. Not at my age.
That's because we ruined that nostalgic you had for this movie because you hadn't probably seen it in years. Like, it's a good movie. I remember you even saying it. I like this movie. It's a good movie. Mm-hmm. And then we finally watched it again, did the show, and that's weird. I didn't hear the same thing.
It was like Operation Raccoon City. Like, it wasn't that bad a game.
That broke my heart. That really did break my heart. I had so many fond memories of that game, and then we played it. I'm like, oh no. Okay, I'm gonna go last, and so I think it's obvious where this thing is going. It's going into box because I never want to see this movie again. I've seen it enough times. I can forget it exists. I can't even say I'm glad that they made it. I'm glad that they were trying to make video game movies, but I mean, stuff like this gave video game movies a bad name. There's others that are worse.
Perpetuates the stigma that video game movies suck ass, and the coolest one ever made was Mortal Kombat, and they might not ever top that.
Yeah, Mortal Kombat is a really fucking good film. We're actually going to do that someday on this show because I really want to rewatch that again.
Well, Mike, would you say that you hate Double Dragon more than Mortal Kombat Annihilation?
I haven't seen Annihilation too long, so I can't. I can't speak to that movie. But you can ask me in a year when we recover both of them.
I almost want to say I hate Annihilation more.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Annihilation would definitely go, and they wouldn't even go in a box. It would just be burned.
The last time I seen Annihilation was probably at least over 6 years ago, and I remember really liking it. I also think I was drinking heavily at that night, so it's hard to say. But I know I did rewatch it at some point, and I'm like, this ain't that bad. But that was a long time.
Hey, watch the first one, then go watch the second one. You will absolutely despise it.
But as I was saying, just going in the box, never want to watch it again. I've seen it too much. It's a campy movie. I mean, it has fun parts. I mean, it is funny at times. I did laugh, but I don't like it, and I don't really like this type of humor in general. I guess is part of me. I'm just that kind of person.
I mean, I feel like a child when I'm watching it. I don't want to feel like a 5-year-old. Like Stefan, he was the demographic. He said he was 5 when he watched it, so no wonder he liked it at the time.
Yeah,
that was a targeted demo. But no, I didn't have fond memories of this. And when we brought it up initially, like when we were off the podcast and doing our thing, just talking between us, and I was like, I brought up Double Dragon, said I'd like to do it, and I have this love-hate relationship with this movie because I love Double Dragon so much as a franchise and what it represents and what it meant to my childhood, but it's still like a big shit stain on a nice outfit.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I still remember calling up my friend Matt Contreras and being like, "Hey Matt, you want to go play Double Dragon?" And be like, "Yeah, I'll be Billy. I'll be Jimmy." It's like those memories will always be in my heart, but this movie, it won't. There's just something about it.
I told everyone on this podcast put it in the box, except for Stu, who's not here. If he would have been here, he would have had fond things to say, and we would have been arguing with him.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's all that needs to be said about this movie. And as I said before, if you are interested, it's worth a watch. Put it on the background and see how far you get. It can be a challenge. Can you make it through this entire movie? Who knows?
And especially if you played Double Dragon, any one of them. If you played any single one of them, give it a shot. It doesn't hurt. At least once. Well, it might hurt, but not that.
It'll hurt. It hurt a lot.
It hurts less with alcohol, though, right, Mike?
I didn't drink any during any of my watching.
If they really wanted to torture a Bobo, they could have just made him watch reruns of this movie instead of spinach.
There's a lot of things you could have done with spinach. All right, I think it's time to wrap this up. First, I want to say thank everyone for taking the time out to listen to another movie episode of Games My Mom Found. Also, if you guys get a chance, please take a listen to our awesome intro. It came from courtesy of Bulby, aka Mike Stoney, from his EP Bite the Bullet. The song is Cool Kid Squad. You'll find a link in the show notes, and we will see you next time. Everyone have a wonderful night, everybody.